So Sony released a new update for the PS Portal. As you can see here, it's pretty good. It's basically enabled cloud on this system. Now it is something that was sorely missing originally at the £200 price point, and it really wasn't worth it. But has this cloud gaming enabled it to be worthwhile? Do remember that you do still need to pay £120 in order to be able to get cloud gaming. You can't just play the games that you own even through the cloud, even if you paid for them. You still need to pay for the premium service of PlayStation Plus in order to actually get access to these. But how does the cloud actually work? How long does it take you to get into the game? And is the latency, is the lag, is the experience worth you picking one of these up? And ultimately, do you need a PS5 once you have this? Let's get into it. But before we do that, a word from our sponsor. But before we get started, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, Eneba.com. Eneba is a gaming marketplace with a huge library of over 40,000 digital gaming products. They constantly have the hottest deals on a variety of different categories that include Xbox, PlayStation, PC, and Nintendo games, gift cards, subscription parties, including Game Pass Ultimate, and more. And for all of my mobile gamers, they got you covered for a range of mobile games, including but not limited to Genshin Impact, Zenithal Zero, Honkai Star Rail, Wuthering Waves, Roblox, PUBG, and more, offering you the best value. And what's more, everything you buy gives you cashback into your wallet for you to spend on your next purchase. I have personally used this site many times ordering cheap currency for my kids on Roblox, so I can attest to the reliability, but don't want to take my word for it. They also have a great Trustpilot rating too, to provide even more confidence in the service they provide. Getting the best deals in gaming has never been easier. All you have to do is go to eneba.com, browse the website, or search for whatever you're looking for. Cheap games, gift cards, they have you covered. So what are you waiting for? Go ahead and click the links in the description below and visit eneba.com for the best deals in gaming. And right now, for a Black Friday special, they are doing a giveaway. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below for the giveaway, register your interest, and you are entered. Simple as that. Right, back to the video. So, PlayStation Portal, we're not going to connect to the PS5, so we're not connected to the PS5. The new addition to this, obviously, is when you press the right bumper, you've got this new menu, and you've got all of these games up top, which are your last recently, well, I don't even think they're recently played, but you've got what is over here, stream games in your library, which is really cool, and then stream from PlayStation Plus. Now, this gives you roughly about 3,000 games to play. That's astonishing. Sony has really outdone themselves with this, but the question is just how good is it? Is the latency good? Does it play well? Does it boot up really quickly? Are there any problems? And do you need a PS5 in order to run your games? So the first game I'm going to run is Spider-Man. This is from the actual PlayStation Plus. So this is streaming straight from the cloud. There is no remote play going on here. I'm not really going to showcase the remote play because we all know remote play works perfectly fine. But if we actually jump into this and then click on stream, this is going to show you just how quickly it actually gets into the actual game. Now, it's actually relatively fast. I mean, it's on par with what I would say with xCloud. It takes anywhere from about 15 to 30 seconds. But as you can see, it's already in and you're ready to go. Now, I already had a save set up, so we can get past the little intro point. But this is going to be essentially where we started off. This is literally as the game starts. And you can see that it's just, the moment I press it, press, there's a tiny little bit of latency there, you know, what you expect from cloud gaming, but it's nothing that, is any different to anything else. In fact, the only one that actually surpasses this is, of course, GeForce Now. GeForce Now can get your milliseconds down to less than 5, which is insane. So could Google Stadia. But in terms of actually what the PS Portal and xCloud can do, they can get anything that's really sub 25, sub 50 is fully playable. PS Portal is on average around 18 to 20. I've heard it can get a little lower, but from what I've seen, it's around 18, and that's fine. It's something that you can clearly get used to. But yeah, there's literally no problem here, and it is fully playable. And that's really the most important thing here, right? And there's no hitches, there's no artifacting, there's no graphical, discrepancies. It just works. And I think this is the best thing about it. Yes, it's a dedicated handheld. Yes, you have to pay X amount of money for it and whatnot. But if you can find it for like 150 quid, and there's tons of them, for that price, this is actually a pretty good device. Sony have decided that they're going to, you know, take the fight to Microsoft and say, look, we know you've done all this work with cloud gaming. Here we are with our output. Here you go. Now, the only thing I'd say with the PS Portal that I don't like is the fact that it doesn't have a TV out. Now, if I lift this up from here, this is just my charging dock. You can see that there's a little connector at the bottom, right? That's for my charging dock, but that's essentially a USB-C connector. However, Sony, just like Nintendo, have deliberately disconnected the TV out. Now, whether this is done via software or it's actually hardware limitations, because the Nintendo Switch 2 is actually software. Nintendo purposefully went in and disabled it. I don't know if Sony have done the same thing deliberately, and if they have, I really think they should enable it, because then this would open up a whole new avenue where in this situation you could literally you know dock it into your TV, and you've actually got a PS5 portable cloud gaming machine. So it's really a missed opportunity from Sony, and I hope that they actually turn around and actually fix that. But as you can see, it there's no problems at all. I've been playing games on the portal, testing this out for a little bit, and I've had no issues at all. Just none. Just none at all. And when you're finished, you can press the options button. You go this way, you tap that, close game, and it just closes it. It's going to ask you how it did, if this time it didn't. Uh, let's go into our own catalog, and let's say stream. Now, these are games that I own from my catalog on the PS5. Now, not everything is going to be there naturally. They are adding games more and more, like you saw Ghost of Tsushima or Ghost of Yotei. I think Tsushima might have been there, but Yotei wasn't there. That's going to be there in due course. But essentially, if you've got one of these, no PS5 required. Or is it? Just a quick word. I know you can see that there's a Droid Cam app statement there. I'm using the Droid Cam in order to record this through my mobile phone being the camera on an iPhone. So that's why it's there, because it's not the paid service, it's the free service. So I do apologize for that. But yeah, I mean, it's just so quick. You can switch and swap between games on the fly, and it's just insane, right? This is just, I mean, this is just ridiculous. Look at it. Jump. That's instant. And this isn't remote play. This is cloud. That's instant. This is really, really impressive tech that Sony has actually portrayed. You know, there's almost zero latency. There's as much latency here as you would find playing it on the real thing. And that's truly impressive. Now, I know a lot of people want to hate on this thing and want to say that, they're doing a bad thing. The reality is they have gone ahead and copied exactly what, Microsoft has done. They've looked at what, yes, Sony did originally have, you know, X Live and Kai and whatever you want to call it. But the bottom line is they did nothing with that service. They did nothing with cloud. People are going to use the notion that they sat there and have been working on it for the past 25 years. But the reality is, and I exaggerate with the 25 years, they didn't care. It was just there and it was something that they could say that they've got. But after they've seen the way GeForce Now and the likes of, you know, Stadia and xCloud have actually been performing and how much attention it's garnering, there's no surprise that they decided to turn around and say, hey, look, we're going to compete with Microsoft in this field and we're going to try and do it better than them. Now, what they have as an advantage to them is the fact that they have a dedicated device that is playing these. Dedicated device means that it's only being tailored for this thing. Currently, I haven't been able to. I mean, you used to be able to play it before on other things. If you're seeing any stuttering on screen, unfortunately, that is between my camera and recording because it's wireless. It's not recording from my actual wired cam that I would normally use for, streams and stuff like that. So this is the first time I'm actually using this setup, but it really is playing just absolutely like a dream. But yeah, I can't fault this. I really can't. It it's fully playable. It's running insanely well. Now, obviously, there is a a large number of games that you can actually play here. So clearly, you don't want to be doing that. So they also have a search function for you to go through in order to find your games. I did search for Returnal. Sadly, that wasn't there in order for me to be able to show. So that is one of the games that isn't available. So I'm booting up Stellar Blade right now. Now, this game has a lot of reactionary action. So you do need the controls to be very responsive. So we're gonna go into this and just check it out and just see how responsive it is. But overall, what I can say is that I'm really impressed with this thing, and Sony has done a really good job with cloud gaming. They have arrived really late to the party, and yes, again, I'm aware that they have actually you know done a lot of stuff in terms of cloud gaming before, but the reality is you know, they've not really ventured into anything. They left it on its own, kind of ignored it. But now that they've seen what everyone else is doing with cloud gaming and how prominent it is and how valuable it is and how it keeps you playing, Sony has decided that now's the time for them to come in, and they've come in a really great way. Now, this, as you can see, is pretty much the end of the game. Oh wow, it's actually using the cloud save that I last uploaded. I don't know if you want to. This is going to be really big spoilers because this is literally the final boss. But you know, as you can see here, everything is just really responsive. Obviously, I was going to have to showcase Stellar Blade because it is a great and phenomenal game. But you can see, like, jump. Like, I mean, look at it. Just look at the jump press. It's ever so slightly delayed, but it's pretty much what I would expect. Now, like I said, you're seeing a little jittering on screen. That's not happening on the actual display. So don't take that as a thing. That's just the way the video is being transmitted from my iPhone to OBS. But this is actually really, really good and really impressive tech. So, Stellar Blade is, as you can see, still on display and it's running perfectly well. Honestly, this is for what it is and how much you're paying for it with the cloud gaming. This is actually worth your money. It is really good. Sony has come into the scene for cloud gaming and has come in aggressively, and they are really challenging everything that Microsoft is doing. Now, don't get me wrong, xCloud is perfectly fine. It works perfectly well. In fact, the games boot just as quickly into the actual experience. I haven't noticed any artifacting. The early days of xCloud are way beyond it. It runs perfectly fine. You can play your games perfectly well. I'm not going to sit here and crap on xCloud, but as a dedicated device, as a remote play device, this just got exponentially more valuable. And I can totally see Sony releasing a version 2 of this and making it not only have a TV out underneath, so you can just sit it in front of your TV and actually game with it, but also have the actual option so you can use other accessories like the extra glasses. Now, here's the question, the real big question, because currently it is not possible to run this, set this up without a PS5. Now, I did reset this completely to factory settings, so when it came on and I had to log in and everything, I can't get past the screen without pairing my PS5. So this is still an accessory. This is not a complete PS5 replacement. However, if you turned around and connected this to your PS5 and you really don't want to use one of these because you've got no use for it, but you wanted to give it to a family member, they could use this as a cloud gaming device and not need to get a PS5. So until Sony allow you to be able to use that without the actual connection to the PS5, you do need to have a PS5. So there are some caveats there. You can totally use it, but the initial setup has to be connecting to a PlayStation 5 console. But in terms of latency, performance, loading in, gameplay, you can go through games like butter on this thing and you will not notice anything. You will be perfectly happy with the performance, with the latency, with the gameplay, and the screen is a very, very nice size as well. This may look like I'm glazing it, but the fact is the product is actually good. It was never worth £200, but now with cloud gaming fully enabled on this thing, it's actually worth its weight. Now I picked this up for about 80, £90 with the dock and everything. So I got quite lucky on eBay. This wasn't brand new, but still, it's pretty much as good as new. There's not a single scratch on there. And for 80, £90, this was way worth the money. If you can find it for like 150, it's a steal. £200 even then is probably still worth it if you are going to utilize it in the way it's designed. Once you've connected this to the PS5 once, that's it. You can use this as a standalone gaming machine, nothing else required. You don't need to re-authenticate, you don't need to do anything. It just works. And the simplicity of this is that you boot it up, you've got the option to remote play into your PS5 for games that aren't available on cloud gaming. So you've got access to all of those games instantly just through the click of a button. And for the games that are available on cloud gaming, you can just stream them straight off the cloud servers, and off you go. I'm super impressed with this, and I can say that Sony has, they've done a good job. They've really, really done a good job, and you know, good on them. Well, folks, that's it. This is my honest impression of this device. I've been playing a number of games on this for the past few days to check it out. I finally got my recording set up, kind of sorted today, so I was able to record some gameplay footage as well. But seriously, it's a good size. Screen is good size. The streaming is good. The latency is good. I just don't have any negatives to say about it outside of the fact that the only negative I have is the fact that it needs a PS5 in order to activate. If it didn't and it had a TV out, I think this would probably be one of the best machines out there for cloud gaming in terms of what it's capable of doing. But folks, that's my opinion on this. I'm really impressed. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you have one of these? And if you do, how does it run for you? Because as you know, I'm not gonna, BS my way around and say something doesn't work when it works. I've generally never had any problem with xCloud. GeForce Now is a league apart from everything, even this. But GeForce Now is still the epitome of cloud gaming. But the PlayStation Portal right now has gained a lot of value, especially if you are one of those people that move around a lot. Want to get like an hour in before you go to bed, or your partner is watching the TV and is occupying it, so you want to pick this, go to cloud gaming. Sony has enabled this, so you can do all of that. all relatively easy, painless, and in just such a simple way. And the best thing about this, right, is you can kind of like flick across, click close, and that's it. You're instantly back at the menu where you can just do what you want, right? You can just go into here and then you've got all your selected games. You can just tap and go into your streaming games. You don't find what you're looking for? Go search. It's just really intuitive, really simple, and yeah, those are my thoughts. I'm impressed. And Sony delivered. But the question is now, will Microsoft or Sony ever attain the latency, the quality that Nvidia have with GeForce Now? That is the milestone. That is the end game, to attain a quality at that level. Neither of them have provided that just yet. Stadia was actually ahead of GeForce Now, but unfortunately they turned out. So maybe one of these two companies will partner with Stadia and take that technology and utilize it for their hardware. If I was Microsoft or Sony, this is exactly what I would be doing to try and get those numbers down for latency, because they can get to really low numbers, as we've seen with GeForce Now, with like 5 milliseconds, which is crazy, right? Sony on average has about 18. I think Xbox has an average of about 24 milliseconds. I know they've improved it over time, so if that number has improved, I'm not really sure what that number is now. But I play cloud gaming on xCloud all the time. I play it on GeForce Now all the time. And now I'll be able to do cloud gaming on the PS Portal, which I've been doing for a little bit now, and it's been absolutely amazing. So that's it. That's the video. If you have one of these, enjoy. The experience is great. If you don't, and you have a PS5, or you know someone that has a PS5 that isn't getting one of these, take your portal to their place, activate it. No PS5 required from that point. Enjoy your gaming experience on the cloud as you play. Really, there are multiple ways to do this, but the best thing of all is that now gamers are starting to have more of a choice. Sony is realizing that giving people more ways to play and more options, whether it's PC, cloud, console, or other platforms, as we are seeing slowly and surely, is the way to go. And Sony, at the end of the day, are realizing that there is untapped potential in markets that they just haven't really focused on. But this is their first foray really into cloud gaming, as they've really decided to go for it. And it's been an absolute dream. But hey, that's it. Thanks so much for watching. Don't shoot the messenger. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much. Peace out and remain legend.